This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Lots to talk about as we journey through 2006, at least for today. Let's zero in on Judgment Day, May 21st, 2006, U.S. Airways Center, Phoenix, Arizona, sold out crowd, 15,421 fans. And the show does 252,000 buys on pay-per-view, slightly down from the year before, but better than the Raw only show Backlash, which came in at 220,000. And overall, the Observer loved it. The readers there gave it 82.7% thumbs up, only 1.2% thumbs down, and just 16.3% thumbs in the middle. Your match is fifth on the card that night, and here's what Meltzer had to say. Angle did a somersault body block off the middle rope and looked to just about land on his head. This wouldn't be good for anyone, but he's the last guy who needs that. Was this a close call? Do you remember this? What happened here?
Yes, it was a stupid move. I did a backflip off the second rope to try to get Mark Henry down because Mark was a big guy. I wanted to do something aerial in the air to get him down because he's such a big, strong guy, and show that I was a smaller wrestler and that I needed to do something bigger to get him down. And I almost landed on my head. I almost broke my neck again. And that was just a stupid move.
Meltzer would say this match was better than the Rumble match. The match was fair, but the post match was pretty good and saved it. Let's mention the match starts out with you on offense, grabbing front face locks and single legs. You try to German suplex Henry into the announce table, but he blocks it and goes on the offense. As a reminder, you're working this match with your ribs taped up because he put you through the table a few weeks prior on TV. And there's a moment here where he goes for the world's strongest slam, but you reverse it into a DDT. You finally get the big German on him and then the angle slam, but he kicks out. How was Mark to work with those Germans and angle slams?
Mark was easy to get up. He was really easy. He would jump for you. He was very light on his feet. Great athlete. It wasn't like when I would angle slam Big Show. When Big Show was 500 pounds, it was really difficult to get him up. I mean, he was and he wasn't, he didn't jump really well for me, but Mark Henry, he had some leaps. He could dunk a basketball before the Olympics. He was 350 pounds and he's only 6'1". He could dunk a basketball. That tells you what kind of athlete he is.
No doubt about that. Let's talk about the match here. He sets you up for a big splash on the announce table. Thankfully for all, probably mostly you, you roll out of the way and he climbs down. And then Meltzer would write, Henry squashed him into the post on the floor, and Angle was counted out. Count out finishes don't go over too well these days. Angle came back alive in the post match with a low blow and 5 chair shots and even an ankle lock on the floor. Angle gave Henry an angle slam on the English announce tables. The table didn't break and Henry just slid off, but Angle finished things up with a wicked chair shot on top of the head. What do you remember about the finish being a count out? That's not something you see very often on pay-per-view.
I wasn't happy with it. I'd rather have Mark win or I win, but to have a finish being a count out is almost useless. It really takes the air out of the match. Thank God we had Aftermath. That's what saved the match. The match was pretty good, but the finish just fizzled out the match. And the aftermath is what saved the match.
Let's talk a little bit about the aftermath. We saw the announce table spot. For whatever reason, the table doesn't break. Tell us, fans listening at home, is there magic to breaking the announce table? Is there a trick? Is there a best practice to break the announce table? It feels like sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. It's almost like it's not up to you guys. It's up to the table.
It is up to the table. You have to gimmick it, but the gimmick thing doesn't always work. Sometimes they gimmick it too tightly. Sometimes it's too loose. When it's too loose, like the time that I got pedigree through it and the table didn't stand, it actually broke early and I hit my head on the concrete floor. The table was gimmicked too easily. But this time it was gimmicked too tightly, and there was just no way it was going to break.
What about a regular wooden table? We saw this whole feud really get kicked off with Mark putting you through it. Is there a trick or some magic to doing a regular table spot the best way?
Yes, you can't gimmick the regular table entirely. there are metal ridges underneath the table. They run long ways, and you have to cut half of those, cut through half of it, not the whole thing, because if you lay an athlete on a table, the table could just break.
Yeah.
So you have to gimmick it halfway. Just cut half of the metal, and the rest, the force when you go down and splash on the athlete, that will break the table. So that's the right way of doing it.
We finished this whole thing up on the outside with a chair shot to the head. Knowing what we know now about head trauma, probably wish we had that one back. But once upon a time, especially in the 90s during, we'll call it the ECW era, chair shots to the head were common. And it was almost like a badge of courage that, guys wanted to do it without putting their hands up. It was looked at as being, quote unquote, a pussy move to put your hands up. Now we know, no, that was just fucking stupid.
It was stupid.
How are you introduced to chair shots? I assume in your amateur life, there were no chair shots. So when somebody says, okay, here's the way you're supposed to do it, but here's what the real tough guys do. Does any of that even happen? Or how do you come to learn about the right way to throw a chair and the right way to get hit by a chair, if there was such a thing?
Well, thank God I wasn't part of that era, because back then you got ribbed if you protected yourself by putting your hands up. You're supposed to take it full blow with your head. That's not the right way to do it. That's how you get neck damage and head damage. You're going to get concussions and brain damage from stuff like that. The trick to a chair shot is not the person giving it, it's the one taking it. You have to protect yourself. A natural reaction to a chair shot is to put your hands up. And that's what you need to do. When the guy's bringing the chair, he's going to bring it pretty hard. The fans don't see you put your hand up because they see the chair coming. And then they hear the chair hit your head or your hands. And then you take a bump. So they don't really see it. And it's such a natural reaction. Just for a second, you just put your hand up and put your hands back down, and you get the full effect of the chair shot and no damage to your head. That's the right way to do it. And that's how I was told. That's what I was taught.
Well, you have a pretty wicked chair shot here on Mark Henry. Obviously,
He obviously didn't protect himself.
No. If we had it to do over again, maybe we would. But the result of that big chair shot is he face plants through the table and it breaks. So it is a spectacular finish, if nothing else. But the actual match time was 9 minutes and 10 seconds. Meltzer gave it 2.25 stars. I mean, I know if we had this to do over again, you would probably change the chair shot and probably not be a count out, but you watched it this week for the first time in 15 years. What'd you think?
I thought the match was good. It was solid. I just think the finish just sucked. I mean, anytime you have a count out, the fans are going to react in a negative way. It's just not what the fans want to see. They want to see a winner and a loser. Obviously, when you get counted out, you lose, but it's not an honorable way of losing, and you don't really get blamed for losing. A count in is a count out because the person cheated, got you down outside, did something to you outside to keep you down, to get you counted out. So it's not just a really good finish for anyone to watch.
Let's keep it moving here, and let's talk about the way the rest of the show was received. Fans online, or at least who read the Observer, felt Chris Benoit and Fit Finlay had the best match of the night. We haven't talked a ton about Fit Finlay. Of course, we've broken down a lot of your matches with Benoit, but Fit Finlay, you got any good memories of working with him?
Yes, Fit was awesome. He was a great teacher, a great wrestler. He's one of the greatest technicians of all time. I think the only reason why he's not talked about is because he never made it to the level of a Kurt Angle. And don't get me wrong, he's made it up there. He's been in the main event here and there, but I don't think that he had the success that he deserved to have. Fit Finlay had all the tools to make it big in the business. He could have been one of the faces of the company. I just don't think the company chose to do that. And Fit is the most talented wrestler I've ever seen in the ring. He's incredible, and his technique is awesome. He comes up with so many innovative ideas. You know, he came up with a thing for me when I was wrestling. I think it was Benoit, and he wanted me to use a chair and put Benoit with the chair and like have it hit the floor and have Benoit's larynx get all messed up. And it was a brilliant spot. Vic comes up with all these great situations and spots. He's very innovative with that stuff. He's a very talented individual.
Let's talk about some other guys who were on that card. Two stick out to me: Paul London and Brian Kendrick. They feel like to me what could have been examples in WWE. Did you ever have any experience working with those guys, either in the ring or outside of the ring?
I wrestled Brian Kendrick. It was a 5-minute Kurt Angle challenge, and I slapped the shit out of him. I put him on the top rope, and I mean, you have to watch this. If you haven't seen it, look up Kurt Angle versus Brian Kendrick. Kurt Angle slaps him during the Kurt Angle challenge. It's a move to be remembered. I knocked the shit out of him, knocked him right on the floor, from the top rope to the floor. It was unbelievable. I never wrestled Paul London. I wish I would have. They were both very talented.
The worst match that night, according to the Observer, was Undertaker and Great Khali. Of course, we just saw Great Khali take his spot in the WWE Hall of Fame this past year. Did you ever work with Khali? I mean, it feels like that would have been Styles Clash all day. He's quite the spectacle, or I think Bruce calls it an attraction, and working boots on here. For whatever reason, fans didn't dig it. What about you? Did you ever have any interaction with the Great Khali you can share?
I didn't know him that well. I didn't talk to him much. He didn't speak that much. He was very quiet. Very big man, very gentle, a gentle giant, very nice, just had great manners, and just was a really nice guy. I just think that they brought him in because they were promoting for India. You know, they were trying to get the market in India to be a hot market for wrestling, which it already was. But to have one of their own be involved in the WWE was just a brilliant idea. And that's, I think, the reason why they started with Khali and Great Khali, and that the reason why he had a lot of success in WWE is because they were pushing him because of the India market.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.